I mean, now we know when the press release came out. How long had this been planned?
Well, obviously we've been trying to get in a World Rally car for quite a long time. After Rally Australia, the opportunity came up that maybe we could try and get a World Rally car this year. So after Australia we actually had 2 offers on the table, which obviously required some input from us still. But basically within 5 days after Rally Australia, we had to make a decision because the entry's closed for this rally. So it was a very, very quick decision and a lot of meetings back at home. And luckily we're here on the start line.
It's been a tough season. I mean, there's been incredible speed. There's been incredible speed when the car's been reliable, there's been no problems, but it has been a tough season. This is like just a nice little present at the end of it, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's got to try and, we've been pretty patient over the last few years, like 2011 and the PWRC was a dream year to go out and just basically win all the rallies. And then last year really brought us back down the ground with the amount of problems we had, the small mistakes I made. And then this year we really just put together the best package we can with the very limited budget we had, and it's been pretty tough. It's obviously tough for a lot of drivers trying to secure the necessary budget these days. And then this year we had X amount of dollars and said, all right, how are we going to help our career the most with this amount of money? So we targeted particular events. We targeted the gravel rally, we targeted a tarmac rally. They were both events where the Skoda factory team were, and we were there in a private Skoda. We knew there was going to be some difficulties up against the new R5s and RRC cars, but we had our targets, our objectives, and we basically met them. So.
I remember Australia, obviously you did the first 2 super specials, and then I'm waiting at the end of the first stage next morning, you never appeared. I'm thinking, hang on, what's going on here? Didn't even make it to the stage. But then, for the next stage, when you got the car fixed, some incredible stage times.
Yeah, well, it wasn't so bad, like especially considering the car was a bit of a compromise. The car is actually one that we personally own, or Dad owns. And basically it's been sitting around for 12 months, we've been trying to sell it, we've been unable to sell it, so we thought, okay, we'll do Rally Australia with it with our own team for about a quarter of the price. But with the car preparation, because a lot of the parts are so expensive with these cars, we couldn't afford to put the correct diff rings in it, we couldn't afford to put the right damper settings in it. So basically the car was what it was, and we took it to Australia, and it actually seemed to work okay. So it was the times in Australia were promising, and ultimately helped us put this together this weekend.
Well, was it Australia at the time? I mean, because in all the press in the UK and everything, it was kind of, everyone's talking about the times that Hayden Paddon did. Was it from that this opportunity arose, or was this opportunity already bubbling under before then?
No, it basically came out from Sunday night after Australia. We started discussions straight away. We knew we had to start some talks while we had a bit of hype behind us, and try and use that to our advantage. And I think, without those times, it would have been a lot more difficult to get a deal together.
So you pick a tarmac rally that you've never driven a World Rally car on, a bit of gravel which you've never driven a World Rally car on. You get like the best of both worlds. But you tested an R5 last week. That was because you're not going to drive the World Rally car on gravel till Sunday morning.
Yeah, the first Super-K stage is going to be thrown right in the deep end, really. So it's going to be a huge challenge. Like the R5 car was great to drive, but we did that in Greystoke Forest in typical Welsh rally conditions, which isn't much of a warm-up for the dry Spanish conditions we're going to have. But it was actually good to drive because the Skoda that we used to drive in is a very, very stable car. You don't have a lot of chassis or body movement. The Ford, even R5, you have a lot of movement in the body, and that's not something I'm used to as a driver. So driving an R5 was able to get me a little bit used to that. After doing that, the guys at M-Sport told me the World Rally cars twice as bad again. So that's something we're going to have to get up to speed with. But I'm just hoping we can do that 40 or 35k stage, because we've been here, this is the 3rd time. We've wrecked that stage 3 times out, and we've yet to do it. So hopefully we can get up to that one and do it this time.
That would be good. I mean, obviously you did a test on Monday in the World Rally car on tarmac. What was that moment like? You know what I mean? Sitting in the car, selecting first gear, heading off out onto that stage.
It was definitely pretty amazing. But when you're sitting in the car and when you know there's the pressure on that there is this weekend to try and perform, you sort of stay pretty grounded pretty quickly. So while it's a great opportunity, I'm not trying to get too carried away. I'm obviously taking it very seriously and want to make the most of this. So basically, as soon as we got in the car, we concentrated on the job at hand. I think after 2 runs, I pretty much got used to the car. It was very easy to get used to it. The feeling with the car is very similar to a Super 2000 car. It's just that you got more power, which I prefer. I've grown up for the last 7 years driving grouping cars that have got the turbo and the torque, and that's a driving style I'm used to. And if anything, the World Rally car is probably a little bit easier to drive because you don't have to rely on the revs and changing gear so often. You can keep it in the gear and basically concentrate on the lines and the driving. So it's certainly a very nice car to drive. It's nice to have a bit of power for a change, and we're all able to make some good setup changes, and hopefully we'll see, again, testing and the rally is 2 completely different things. It felt good to test, but rallying on a stage is being able to drive at 100% commitment when we're driving on pace notes is a whole new ballgame.
That's it, and those first 3 stages, obviously in the dark, which just adds another element to it. What do you like in the dark?
I enjoy the dark. We haven't done it for 18 months so, but I think it will help because if you're in the dark, you won't see everything's around you, so I might forget it even in a World Rally car and just concentrate on driving, so it might help us.
I mean, what is the plan? Obviously, the plan is to stay in a World Rally car. I mean, is this a showcase for next year, or is the budget kind of nearly secured for next year? Because I know you were on a 5-year program. That was what you and all your backers were. What is the next step?
Definitely we want to be in a World Rally car next year. That's a plan, but obviously it's a long way from happening yet. We're having several discussions with a lot of people at the moment for next year, but a lot of those discussions will be helped or dictated by how we go this weekend as well. So if we can have a good weekend this weekend, that will certainly help us for next year. Of course, it won't make it certain, but you know, we're also staying realistic this weekend. We're not going out there to win or to get a podium. We're going out there to, 1, get as much experience as we can, and 2, to pick 2 or 3 stages that we can really push on and try and see some good times. And the long tarmac stage, I can't pronounce it, El Prahi or whatever you call it.
El Poirot, I don't know, Poirot. It's a long one.
That's one of my favourite stages, and particularly it's definitely my favourite tarmac stage, so that's one we'll certainly target on Saturday.
That's it. I mean, I spoke to Chris Atkinson, I think maybe yourself about this in the past. The most difficult thing for yourself with backers is 12 hours, 11 hours ahead in New Zealand, the places where the money's coming from, or the major money's coming from. How difficult is that for a driver where, you know what I mean, in theory, luckily, when you won the big results in Group N were down under as such, so you were on the same time zone, but when you're having big results, everyone's asleep kind of at home. And how difficult is that to kind of try and sell that to backers?
Our New Zealand rally fans are pretty passionate, so normally they're not asleep. They're normally up all night watching, so no, we've got a huge amount of support at home. We wouldn't be where we are now, 100% of our funding's come out of New Zealand, and we're talking, you know, millions of dollars that have gone into this over the last few years, so it's been quite humbling to do it from such a small country, but you know, even the media, all the media are 100% behind us. We have a lot of supporters, and basically that helps make us live our dream, so we certainly couldn't do it without them.
That's it, right. Well, I think we maybe best let him get going because he wants to have a bit more seat time, and there's hundreds of buttons in that car. I mean, is that your department or John's? That's John's job. They're over on the
The pedals and the steering wheel and the gear stick and the rest is John's.
That's it. Right, a short bit of time there for Hayden, but it's great that you can spend the time coming towards us.